statements about design thinking. Okay, I'm Ebner. I'm UX designer at QEcom, as Ian already said. And let's see how you will be able to use design thinking on your next project. Okay. So we are going to talk first about what design thinking is, and then we will follow the 5 steps for the process. That is the empathize, define the problem, ideate, prototype, and test. Okay? So I think everyone here has a problem to solve, and sometimes you get stuck and you are not able to move forward. You are not able to solve it properly, and to find, not only to solve, but to find a valuable solution, okay, for it. That's why we need design thinking. When you try to solve something in your company, if you don't follow a process, it usually looks to something like that. Okay, you just came up with something, but you don't really, you are not being effective. You are not following all the, you are not closing all the gaps for a product. So it's very important to have it. So first, what design thinking is. Now, finally, I will try to explain a bit for you. It's handling a problem. But apart from that, you have to do it with people as your primary focus, because they are your final users. Okay? And apart from these two, you have to work together with people from different areas of expertise, with different visions. This is something that's really, really important. Design thinking is something that has design on its name, but it's not made only for designers. This is very, very important. We need a holistic approach for that, because having different visions is the only way that we can solve the problem properly. Okay? So, now, we have the 5 stages of the process. We have these 5 steps, as I already told you on the agenda. And we are going to, I'm going to briefly explain them. And if you have any questions, we can then, you can then ask, and I will try to answer as best as possible. Okay? So first one, empathize. Remember, I just said that people should be in the first place, and empathy is the key for that. Empathy is not only the capacity to say, okay, you are going to be fine. It's not that. You need to really put someone's shoes on you. You need to know the struggles. You need to try to do the same process as the user does. That way, you are going to really, really understand how it works. What are the pain points for the user? Okay? So, for that, we can do, I will just show for you 4 ways of doing that, but of course there are more, and I will briefly explain them as well. You can do lightning talks. Lightning talks is ask experts. You just need to go to legal, to go to finance, to go to CS, and try to ask them how it works. What are the struggles that you have? Okay? You can do it any way you want, because it's not just about the product owner, it's not just about stakeholders, it's about everyone. Okay? Then we have the 5 whys. This is something that's good, because sometimes we just say, oh, but how can I solve this? What's the problem? Oh, the problem is that the user don't click the button. So you have to ask 5 times why. So that way, we hopefully will get to the root cause of it. So it's something that you need to always try to do, to not stay at the first question that you have. Okay? Then we have the how might we. This I think is one of I like the most. You just need to rephrase something on how might we, for example, I'm from Curicom, we deal with traveling, so how might we make the time for children more suitable at the airport? This is something. So that way you can rephrase it and you will focus on the problem, not on the solution. So it's not how might we entertain the kids, for example, but how might we make it more suitable for them? Because it's not about only entertaining. It can be, for example, to not have a long waiting line. This is something that you can solve. So try to rephrase it. And last one, user journey mapping. This is something that's more difficult to do. You usually have to draw a timeline with all your steps. So for example, if you have a company that sells something, you need to say, okay, the user has to enter at the store. The user now has to push a button to get a number, and so on. So it's more difficult, but at the end you can really see what are the gaps that you have in your product. Okay? This is about empathy. And now define the problem. Here you have to understand or even find your problem with help from others. Here is why you need more people from different areas as well. So in this case, for example, this step I would say that is not mandatory. If you have time, if you have like the way of doing this, it's good, but it's not mandatory. So we have something called business model canvas. Okay? In this business model canvas, you see that it's just sliced in several pieces, and we have customer segments. So here you write who are your customers, who are your target groups. Okay? Then you have the value proposition. Why do customers buy from you? What's your difference from other products? Okay? You have channels. How are your products and services delivered? So it's just through internet, or you need some delivery for it or not. Then you have revenue streams. Okay? Oh my God, I just skipped one. I went more deeply. So then we have the revenue streams. Here, how does your business earn money? Okay, this is one thing that's really needed as well. Then you have key resources. What unique strategic resource do you need? For example, if you need to deliver something to someone, so we will need trucks. This is something that's really needed for your model type, business model. Then we have the key activities that are like unique strategic activities that your business will perform to deliver your product. So it's what activities you will need to do that. Okay? Then we have the key partnerships. So for example, lots and lots of companies, instead of having CS inside the company, it's just third-party services, so it's something that you can put there in this case, if is your way of doing this. And then cost structures. What are the major costs incurred by your business? So it can be rental of some place, your computers, and so on. Okay? This is more complex, as you can see. So if you are just solving something that is not that deep in your product, you don't need, you can just skip. Okay? And then you have the ideation. This is where like your experiments will take place. So here I usually like to do one thing that it's called Crazy 80s. Okay, you just get paper, fold into 8 pieces, and then in 8 minutes you have to draw 8 solutions for that. So you have really to be quick, you have really to come up with something that is like, you don't need to have some filter for that at that time. You can just explore as many ideas, even if they look silly, if they don't make sense. This is the time that you should do that, okay? And don't be ashamed of your outcomes because no one knows how to draw it. And then, after choosing the best idea, just to know how to choose the best idea, you can do it in several ways. Usually you use a heat map or dot votes. Then I can explain it properly for you. Okay? Then, after choosing your best idea, you have to prototype it. And then, I don't know, who here knows how to prototype properly? One? Okay. Two. But that's the good thing. You don't need to know how to prototype because I think everyone here knows how to use PowerPoint, right? So if you know how to use PowerPoint, you can prototype. You can just say that clicking on a button, you will redirect to another place. So it's the same. You can use anything that you want. You can do sketches on a paper. You can do it digitally, like Sketch, Figma, or even PowerPoint, as I said. You can do it with Legos. It's just some experience that you have to go through some store or something. You can do it. Or even Play-Doh, for example. You can do it the way you want. Because the thing here is to show how to solve the problem. So here is the way. You can even, for example, if you have some empty room, you can just put your tables and chairs in a way that will look like a store and then invite the users to go there and see. Because the next step will be the test. And here is where you think that's not that easy because how can you test? It's not easy to find people to do that and so on. But the good thing is that you can usually test with 5 to 9 people. You don't need to test with a lot of people because of this curve. Okay? If you can see, with 5 people there, you get 80% of the usability issues. So this is one thing that you can get, and if you test with 9, it's almost 100. So it's something that you can really do easily, like trying to find people that will join you, trying to use your prototype, trying to use what you created to see if it really works. Okay? In this case, if you have like different groups, for example, you have like a group for people who will pay for something more from your product, for example, better subscription. You have to use at least 3 participants from each subgroup. Okay, this is one thing. But you can test from 5 to 9 people. It's totally okay. You get awesome results because after 9, you see that you will be repeating the same problems. You will never get 100% of the problems, never. Okay, but you can get really close with just 9. So it's a good thing. And for that, then later at the end of the presentation, I have some books that you can also try to use, and one of them is just about user testing by yourself. So you don't need to like buy a lot of things or create some big how can I say, structure for that. Okay, so it will be really easy. I will recommend this book like a lot for you. And then, okay, so what would you do next? You may ask this. Now you have to just remember one thing for your entire life when delivering something. Okay? Fall in love with the problem, not with the solution. Your ego has to stay outside. So you don't have to say, okay, no, I have this idea will work for sure. No. You don't know. You have to test it. Just after testing, you can be sure that it will work. And maybe not. Because, you know, real life is always different. You can test and it's awesome, but on the real life you have other things that you didn't thought that the user will have. For example, they don't have internet connectivity at that time. So it can happen. So fall in love with the problem, always, okay? And as I said now, we have 15 minutes. I did a bit fast, so we have time. So thank you very much for If you have any questions now, we have 5 minutes to do it. Any question?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yes. Maybe it's just me, but I find Kiwi UI very hard to use.
Okay.
But like I was thinking how to make it better. How would I do it? I was the designer of the UX, and I couldn't find any like simple solution. Because there's a lot of moving things. Departure date and departure airport and arrival date and return trip and stuff. So like, how do you optimize this kind of complex UX?
Yes, this is a good question. Usually, when you have such complex things like, for example, internet banking or traveling, you can do some, like, you can do it in a way that will be more simple, but if you do that, you start to cut some things. So it's really hard. So here you have to really balance what's more important for you. I usually say that if you do something that an elderly people can use, you are doing it right. But I know that traveling, when you travel, you prefer to go to some agency so they will do everything for you because it's really hard. Okay? So our goal there is just trying to put everything there that the user can filter or tweak it to make it better for them. But at the same time, we have to offer some ready options. This is the way we find out. Usually when you are traveling, you want to do it the way you want. You don't want like anyone else to say what you need to do. You always think that if you do that, you will pay more or something else. So it's really hard. We all the time we need to balance this. Okay? So there is no like ready-made recipe for that, unfortunately.
And you do tests like A/B?
Yes, we always test. We always test. We have lots and lots of A/B tests running. Not only us, but I think every major company on traveling, like Booking.com, has more than 400 A/B tests running at once, for example. We don't have that much, but we still have a lot.
And the thing that you just said, that if you give like too many defaults for the people, or make it too simple, the UI, they don't want to use it. So they prefer more complex UI.
Depends on the user that you are going to tackle. Usually, people who travels with QBCom are not that old, so they prefer to tweak a bit more, to like filtering and do the way they want, instead of just receiving ready-made things. But we have both options. It's not that we have to choose, like based on our target group, and then of course in the future is about personalization. So in the future, if we know that someone that's logging in is like has some preference, we can just deliver what they want or what they will use.
Identify the user.
Yes, exactly. This is something that we are working on right now. Okay. Anything else?
Yes. Apart from usability testing and A/B testing, do you use any other research methods?
A lot. Screening, we use market research, for example, from our competitors. We do some ideation sessions as well with users. Like, I think we use most everything that can be used. So we use a lot. Okay. Anything else? No? Okay. So, if you want, you can find me at Ebner and Ebner@QBCom. And as I said to you, here are some books that maybe you want to copy. Sprint, Big Nap. This one is about a sprint of 5 days. Now they knew that it's not necessary to have all the steps, so you can do it in 3 days, for example. This is something that's really good. Also, we have value proposition design. What I like on that is that it is really, really well explained and with illustrations. So you can have, for example, the value proposition, the business value map that I had. Then we have Don't Make Me Think from Steve Crook. This book is awesome. And we have Rocket Surgery Made Easy. That's the one that I said about user testing. So you see that if you have a PC and an empty room, like for 2 people, you can do user testing. This is really good. Okay? And we have Design Thinking for Strategic Innovation. This is a bit more complex, but it's really good as well. And lately, Change by Design by Tim Brown. That's one of the gurus for user experience. This is something that's really good. Okay? So, hope that we like it. We are now in 21 minutes, so I think we made it. Okay, thank you very much for coming.